Hello viewers, welcome to our latest episode of Sandy Wars, our video series on military and strategic affairs. Today we are on a subject that is as scintillating as it is controversial and has remained so over the last 6 decades. This series is in the backdrop of our serialized story on the 1962 war, this present episode being on the Namka-chu debacle. Today we have with us Brigadier Inderjeet Gakhal, retired, who made his name in the Pir Panjal range when he raised the 15 area RR, Rashtriya Rifles, and he was rewarded for his role in CI operations. But today, in a different role, he would be sharing his experiences with us. His parent unit was 1 Sikh, where he was commissioned. And it was a 1 Sikh officer, Captain Mahavir Prasad, who had done that basic work in the Namka-chu area in setting up a Dho-la post in May-June 1962. And that has been quoted almost religiously by all accounts of the 62 war in the Nefa area. So we go to Brigadier Gakhal. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to our show.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure being here.
It's our honor, sir, having you here, because a lot of gray areas, a lot of unknown facts exist in public perception as well as in learned articles and stories on this particular episode. We would like you to enlighten our readers, sir, on this particular patrol of Captain Mahavir Prasad from 1 Sikh.
I think it was in early May that the battalion was asked to provide an officer for establishing a post on the McMahon line, and the battalion nominated Captain Mahavir Prasad. However, the inputs that I have are largely from my interaction with officers who were served there, some men who had served there, but the true facts would only emerge once the patrol report per se is declassified by the government or the Ministry of Defense. My inputs are largely the battalion lore, what one has learned by virtue of one's service in the battalion. So I can give you these inputs. The patrol, as per what I know, started from 15th of May and lasted till 30th of June. And I think on 4th of June, by 4th of June, they had established the post at Dho-la, which was chosen by Captain Mahavir Prasad after intense reconnaissance. On this patrol was also a political or an IB rep. I think, if I am correct, his name was LD Sharma or LD Singh, I'm not too sure, but LD was his initials, along with 2 constables. So they were actually, there is some disparity that one has learned over the battalion, from the battalion, that Mahavir Prasad's interpretation of the McMahon line vis-a-vis that of the SIB rep that accompanied him. Therefore, we know that he had said that a detailed survey needs to be redone to clearly demarcate the McMahon line on ground. That is one aspect. What else would you like to know about the Namka-chu patrol?
So what we have heard, since there's a lot of fog of war and fog of after war lying on this particular episode, what we have heard that the location was disputed where this particular post called Dho-la post was set up. It was supposed to be beyond the McMahon line and not inside Indian territory. Is that true, sir?
That is based on the interpretation of the McMahon line. It was to be at the tri-junction. That is, you see, we don't have details of what Captain Mahavir Prasad was actually briefed on the patrol. That only those who briefed him can say. Unfortunately, neither Captain Mahavir Prasad or those who briefed him are alive today. But what one can decipher is that he was told to establish a post at the tri-junction, that is the tri-junction of Tibet, Bhutan, and India. And that was something which he named as Thang-la. Now, as regards Thag-la, I think in his perception, he did not place a post there. In his perception, possibly it was across the Mohan line, whereas the Dho-la post, which was established on the Tanghar Ridge, which was to the south of the Namka-chu, was within Indian territory. Now, why not at Thag-la? Once the patrol report comes out, we would know in detail. But fact of the matter is, what one has learned is that from where the post was established, the Thag-la Ridge could be effectively covered, as Thag-la Ridge could cover the Dho-la post by MMG and heavy mortars. The other factor, I think, which played on his mind, my military knowledge tells me, is possibly locating a post across obstacle vis-a-vis one with the obstacle in front made more military logic. And the other factor could be that Thag-la post, it was under snow when he went. Mind you, it was in the month of May, June. It was still under snow. That's what the people who accompanied him and my interaction with them during regimental get-togethers, that it was still under snow. And the administration of that place would be very difficult because it required a walk crossing the Namka-chu, then a very steep climb up to Thag-la. Administration was a consideration, but I think tactically, if you could cover the same area from the Dho-la post that he established, and the other factor was putting a company or a platoon on a limb across an obstacle, which could be bypassed from both sides, that is from the Karpola 2 sides and the Namka side, and then approach to Tawang was open. Whereas sighting it at Dho-la, he was covering Namka-chu, he was covering the approaches to Kinzimane and also to Karpola 2. Tactically, I think that post made more sense than putting one in Thag-la.
So what you were saying is, in fact, it revolutionizes the lore and the narrative on this particular subsector. And this confirms what I have heard from other officers. See, all these days, any account you read about the Namka-chu debacle, there is a constant lament about Thag-la. There's an implication that Captain Prasad had wrongly cited the post. A, it was across McMahon line. B, it was in a tactically inferior position with Thag-la commanding this entire site. Whereas you tell us, you are telling us as an infantry officer that in fact, this made more sense because you had a river obstacle to cover, which could be covered from Dho-la rather than behind you, sitting across astride your line of communications. And Thag-la Ridge, Thag-la passes 9 miles by from Dho-la. So which meant additional trek of 9 miles by porters or mules. And what I believe is the climb is so steep on the northern side of Namka-chu that it was the mules would not have been able to climb. So I am told that 150 porters, men, women, and children, were required to set up that one platoon post, Assam Rifles post in Dho-la. So you can imagine what would have been the porterage required to go to Thag-la. So it was
and
impossible.
Maintain it under snow. And it was under snow in June. To maintain it throughout, and imagine when the thaw sets in, it's slippery. I think administratively it would have been a nightmare to maintain even a platoon post at Thag-la.
So, and I am also told that weather-wise, this southern side, Hathungla, Kinzaman, right from Kinzamane, Lumpu, Hathungla to Sangthar, the snow melts earlier than on the northern side, on the Thag-la side. So setting up a post in May, June in Thag-la was anyways not viable, and maintaining it till winter. So see, I think poor Captain Mahavir Prasad had never envisaged that there will be a brigade-sized FDL created in that trap, mouse trap. So he was thinking in terms of a company-sized location, and maintaining a brigade across the Thag-la, across the Namka-chu, sir, do you think it would have been at all feasible militarily, logistics-wise?
You see, what he possibly, you see, the idea of that post, as I visualized, was basically early warning elements of any build-up and Thag-la around that area, early warning. And I think politically at that point in time, everyone was trying to show a flag all along the front. I think that was the prime reason for pushing these people of 5 Assam, a platoon of 5 Assam rifles up ahead to show force, show presence. That possibly was the aim. But if Captain Mahavir Prasad was a very, very ingrained infantry soldier, he knew his beans about infantry and sighting defensive platoon. That's the reason why the battalion sent him there. He had adequate experience in that. And he wouldn't have sighted a platoon on a limb and expected it to fight right through. It would have been purely an early warning element and give prior information, show your presence in your area. That was the task. If at all it was to be, then surely he would have sighted, he would have covered Hartungla Pass, or possibly even put a platoon at Tangle, and then held Dho-la with a company headquarters and a platoon. That company would make some sense that you're denying all approaches to Tawang. Platoon was basically, in my view, was an early warning element, which was showing your presence and then withdrawing it. And it's irony that Captain Mahavir Prasad had to lay down his life at that very place, which he had never envisaged was a pitched battle.
I mean, this must have been pathetic for him. He was the officer who had very clearly, he had said that defending Dho-la post was an impossibility in a full-fledged war. Defending the entire area, even Thag-la, I believe he said that was impossible to defend in case of a full-fledged war. But he was forced to defend that, sir, and it was not his decision. I mean, and today he doesn't live to tell his tale, whereas his senior officers have waxed eloquent on how they were the victims. Brigade commander, div commander, corps commander, they have all written their accounts, and we don't have Captain Prasad. It was not his to ask why, question why. It was his to do and die, So that's the tragedy. But what I've heard from other infantry officers is that Captain Prasad, what he had suggested was not followed. He apparently had suggested that a company-sized deployment was enough, like you said, early warning, that a platoon at Sangle, which was at the Tri-Junction, his perception of Tri-Junction, I think the McMahon line, the original 1914 McMahon line, put the Tri-Junction slightly to the south on the Indian side, and Sangle happened to be in Bhutan. But anyways, so his perception was that a platoon at Sangle to cover the passes coming down Thag-la, a platoon at Hartungla to cover the entire Namka-chu valley, which comes from Leh village, via Khinzamane, and a platoon with company headquarters at Dho-la or Thag-la. So this is remarkable, sir. He equated Dho-la with Thag-la in terms of an early warning post. And he said that nothing was really kind of made sense in terms of holding an infantry position in terms of full-on war over there. But his technical advice was even debriefed, sir. I mean, do you think it was debriefed by unit or brigade?
You see, unfortunately, Sandeep, all those major actors are no longer in this world. What he was briefed about, the task he was given, is not very well known to us, but obviously it was to establish a post. And only the patrol report, as and when it's declassified, would throw light on these aspects. But yes, in the battalion, it was a lore. And the officers that I have interacted who were there, for example, late Colonel Haripal Kaushik, Veer Chakra, who was commanding Delta Company at Bumla. And he said that he wasn't debriefed at all when the patrol came back. He spent a month and a half out, established a post, came back. there was no official debriefing of that. He was asked to submit a patrol report, which he did, and there's no official debriefing. It's uncanny that you don't have you send out a patrol for a month and a half, establish a post, and there's no debriefing of it. One reason I could think of was that, you see, at that point in time, the Assam Rifles came under the Foreign Ministry. Assam Rifles came, it came under the Assam Foreign Ministry. Possibly the report may have been sent up because it was a Assam Rifle post, may have gone up that channel. But surely debriefing should have been done. I see no reason why it wasn't done. But the battalion lore says that he wasn't debriefed.
So I have read what is available in in the HBR, the Henderson Brooks report copy, which was leaked on the net. And there I see that 33 Corps in the month of August, in their report, in their signal to HQ as well as HQ Eastern Command, they are not specifically quoting Captain Prasad, but obviously what they are saying can only be based on what Captain Prasad said, because no one stepped in there. And what I believe from what Lieutenant Call wrote later on, that no general officer, in fact, no one above unit level had ever stepped in there, before General Call went there with General Niranjan Prasad and Brigadier Dalvi in the month of October. No one at that level, no general officer ever stepped in. So obviously, whatever they were saying would have been based on what Captain Prasad had reported, without acknowledging or whatever, without quoting. There, the 33 Corps report also mentions, a post at Sangle to cover the passes from atop Thag-la, and a post at Thag-la, and then very coolly they slip in the fact that they have, as if they have discovered that Captain Prasad's post was across McMahon line as it stood on the map, and the map, the grid references given are all wrong. And 33 Corps, in fact, wanted to go along with that wrong and not correct the wrong, because they didn't want to upset the apple cart, which I find, I don't know what to say. I mean, these are matters of, the highest level of geostrategic and political controversy. So I would not like to, go into that. So everyone knew, A, that they were across the McMahon line as it stood on the map. And in spite of that, and if they felt that Thag-la was the thing to occupy, it was like a Shangri-La for them. Right from brigade commander to div commander, everyone was lobbying for Thag-la to be occupied. But now you are telling us that militarily, as an infantry officer, you find no sense. In fact,
there's another lore within the battalion which said that there were comments about when Captain Mahavir Prasad sent up his report to say that this infantry officer does not know his map reading. Obviously, he had from the political person, SIB person who went with him, he did not comment. But his map reading did show that Thag-la was possibly across the McMahon line, and therefore the reasons for Dho-la where it was sighted.
No, so what I'm getting at, sir, Thag-la made no sense in terms of an infantry FDL, as did in Dho-la. In fact, Dho-la was a little better off in that sense, a little better off than Thag-la. Then the entire responsibility lies on his higher commanders. And it doesn't lie at Captain Prasad's door at all, right? I mean, whatever happened later on, and people who were there in that space and time, I'm sure they would have known that it was a position which was untenable.
True. As it is, we discussed this earlier on, that what you could cover from where the post was sighted, and you could carry out the task of that, didn't make military sense to go across to Thag-la, increase your administrative tail, put an obstacle between you and your administrative tail, and occupy that. It didn't make sense at all. Military sense, it certainly did not make military sense.
Sir, thank you very much for your time and what you have said today. I don't think this has ever been said in the last 60 years, and our readers, our viewers, as well as the readers of the article which will come out, they would be immensely enriched, as would be Indian military history. And they would remain thankful to Brigadier Inderjeet Gakhal, sir. Thanks a lot from on behalf of India Sentinel, sir, for giving us your time and letting us into this mystery, sir. I mean, and I think Captain Mahavir Prasad's soul in Valhalla will be blessing you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sandeep. God bless you too.
Thank you, sir.